20 hours of driving, big roaches, and the guy at the bar. I want to talk to you all about what has been happening with me over the last 7 days. Welcome to the Kia Kelly podcast, because that's me. Every single week, we will be here talking about business, marketing your business, as well as life and anything that can throw at us. Because one thing I know is that when I've been building my business, I am involved in my business. And so I like to help people understand what it all is going to take to build a successful business and have a balanced life. And so here on the podcast, some of the days you're going to absolutely love me. And then other days, you're going to want to throw me away with the trash because you don't want to be bothered with me. But either way, you're going to get your whole life together when you're here on this podcast. So I encourage you to grab your tea and grab your coffee because the Kia Kelly podcast is here. Welcome back to another episode of the Kia Kelly podcast, where we talk about all the things, including life, business, having a balanced life, content creation, and all the things. I know you are like, roaches? Girl, you got roaches? Where did you move to? Listen, just keep on watching, keep on listening. We're going to get into it. You know, I have been, oh my God, like... This has been quite the experience of moving. Now, listen, if this is your very first episode of the Kia Kelly podcast, I am Kia Kelly, and I am someone who teaches business, making money online, and therapy and all the things in my show. And I just recently relocated from San Diego, California to Houston, Texas. Now, I lived in Houston 5 years ago, and I literally moved to California because God asked me to do that. And I was up at Bethel Church, ministries type stuff and whatever. And about 6 or 7 months ago, I heard God tell me it was time to go back. Now, personally, I was like so excited because while I love California, San Diego is not Black people friendly. Now, I don't mean that in the racist way. I mean that in the way of San Diego has like 6% Black people. Now, that may not seem like a few to you, but it's very few. Like, I would see a Black person once a week. I've been in San Diego for 3 years, California for 5. I've been asked on a date 0 times. 0. The moment that I landed in Houston, the men were like, hello. So, so I was very excited that God invited me to move back to Houston, Texas. Okay. So excited. Now, if you are listening to the episode before this, I talked about like all the fears I was having with starting over and all that. But specifically today, we are having a conversation about the 20-hour drive, the cockroaches that were waiting for me, and then the man that I met at the bar. So I know what you want to hear first. You want to hear me talk about the man at the bar, but we're going to talk about that man last. We're going to talk about that man last, honey. Man last. Okay. So let's talk about this drive. Okay. So time to go from San Diego to Houston was 20 hours and like 25 minutes. And I said, okay, get a really good night's rest. And so that I can drive 10 hours so that I can do it Saturday and Sunday so that I was not on the road in Houston on Monday traffic with my cats, without I just did not want to do that. So got a good night's rest. Got up the next morning, Saturday morning, and we actually hit the road at 8 a.m. Now, we were doing fairly well until we hit hour number 4. I say we, but it was me and my cat, so it's technically a we. When we got to hour number 4, I was like, I'm in trouble. I am tired. I am in trouble. Now, one of the reasons is because I forgot that journey from San Diego to Houston is so boring. It's not major highway. It's like, I don't even know how to describe it, but it feels like a road that was 2-3 lanes, whatever, 2 lanes that was created for transportation. Now, maybe I am out of the loop. But I thought that only roads we had were like back roads and highway roads. But these roads felt like these were created specifically for people that were long hauling. Now, if that is a thing, I want you to tell me, because I didn't know about that. And so for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, that's all it was. It was me in one lane, a trucker in the next, and we're constantly changing lanes. That was it. There was nothing to look at, nothing. And so I was like, oh my God, I forgot about this. Now, I went to church prior to leaving, and they had a prophetic word for me. And they said, there's going to be somebody who's going to send you some stuff to listen to, but don't listen to it. God wants to speak to you. They were exactly right. Do you hear me? My friend sent me this audio message that she created in Patreon that was like 12 hours long. And like, it was like a series, and I started in on it, and I got so hooked per prophetic word. And so I ended up listening to this series. And so I cut it on, and I'm like, okay, we're going to keep ourselves up, you know? And it was very hard. It was so hard. You know, it was hot, even though I had my AC. My cats were not happy. I was bored out of my mind. And there were so many moments when all I wanted to do was to pray for God to teleport me to Houston, but he wasn't doing that. I was praying. I was like, God, I have got to find me a husband, because driving this thing like this is for the birds, honey. My cats was crying and wailing, and I'm like, listen here, kitty, you get to be in no little cage. You don't have to drive this. I mean, it was miserable. Okay. Miserable. And so that first night I got a hotel that was pet friendly, great hotel, very happy about it. They also had breakfast, which was amazing. Then when I got on the road for the second day, I was like, all right, I'm gonna do okay. I still got tired right around hour number 5, and I had like 5.5 hours to go to Houston. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it, because I didn't have anything to listen to, but I started listening to audiobooks. I started listening to The New Menopause by Dr. Mary Claire Haver. Very good. But I think it was because I was learning, it was causing my brain to be tired, or tireder, more tired. So I listened to it for quite a bit of it. But then I just had this inclination. I was like, just start playing with your hair. So my hair was all twisted up. So I started like unraveling my hair, and that seemed to kind of like wake me up. Then I went to YouTube, and I started typing in Lifetime movies, and I wasn't watching them. I was more listening to them. And that kept me like up for the next like 5 hours. I was so proud of myself, but I was so exhausted. So I check into this hotel here in Houston, and it's a Holiday Inn. Oh my God. When I walked into my hotel room, I was like, ooh, it felt very humid in the room. It felt like there was a leak, or like, it was like, you know how that feeling of like, it just feels wet. So it just felt wet when you walked into the room. So it smelled like it was wet, but it was like, it was 8:00 at night. All I wanted to do was go to sleep. All I wanted to do was put my cats out their cages so they could eat, go to the bathroom. Miserable. You hear me? Miserable. And I get something to eat, come back in, and I see Faith playing with something on the floor. And I'm going, I know that there's something there. Huge cockroach. When I say huge, I was so mortified that she even wanted to play with it. Oh my God. I was like, I could just barf thinking about it right now. Oh my God. I could just barf thinking about it right now. Oh my God. But the last thing I was going to do was let my cat kill this thing. And this cat was going to play with me. No, we're not doing that. I felt bad, but I killed that cockroach, tossed that thing. And I was just like, oh my God, I forgot how big the cockroaches are here in Houston. Listen, that hotel did not look like that from the internet. Oh my God. I was like, Jesus, like rocking back and forth. Jesus, just help me. You know what I mean? But I was tired. So I just picked up all my clothes, like everything off the floor, and make sure that it was elevated. So in case roaches would do whatever they were doing, they weren't going to get in my stuff. You know what I mean? It was awful. But my cats were able to be around. I had this huge king size bed. My cats were like, it was so sweet watching them kind of be like, hey mommy, you know? So anyway, the next morning, got up and was like, all right, let's go and check into our apartment. Apartment is beautiful. It's amazing. Got all checked in and then got into my apartment. Beautiful. Just beautiful. Okay. I love my apartment. And the interesting thing about my apartment though, is this is not my permanent apartment. So this apartment complex, when I was applying for it, it was like 99% full. 99% full. And they were like, you got to take what's available or you're not going to get in here. So I was paying my lease in San Diego and paying a lease in Houston at the same time. I know, expensive. But I was like, I needed to get the unit. And the unit is smaller than what I'm used to. But listen, I'm not bougie. I can handle that. And so they reached out to me and was like, hey, we got something else coming up July 8th. It's a lot bigger and it's down the hall from where you're currently staying. I looked at that one and was like, let's do that. So I'm basically in here and I'm not going to fully unpack because I'm moving in a month. So if you are watching this on YouTube, what you may see in the corner, there's like a little box you can see in the corner over here, but there's boxes everywhere. And then you see like I have a purple background. I did not paint this wall. That is wool fabric I got from Joann Fabrics. The wall is white up top. And as you can see down here, it's white right here because I didn't get enough fabric. So I got to go back to Joann Fabric today and get some more fabric to go down here so that way I can shoot content with no problems. So, because like I'm not going to set all this all the way up knowing that I'm getting ready to move. We'll paint July 8th in the new place, but there's no point in doing all that here. And also, these bookshelves are not mounted to the wall. They're leaning. Okay. And so I just put some stuff back there so that it can look good on camera because I'm a content creator, you know? So just note that like you don't need things to be perfect or to be amazing in order to actually get started doing something. You just get to get started. Okay. And this was just me kind of getting started. All right. So what happens? So once I'm here in my apartment, I rented 2 pods, right? And I stuffed all of my things in 2 pods that were going to be shipped across the country. So when I got here on, what was that? Monday, my stuff was not here. And so I was like, oh man, I've got to sleep on an air mattress, right? So the first night I wanted to be with my cats because I knew they were probably freaking out about what's going on this, what's going on that. So I slept on the floor with them because I'm like, the last thing I want them to do is be dealing with anxiety. You know, it's just animals. It's a new environment. That was terrible. Next day, I decided to blow up my air mattress that I had because you can't have an air mattress blowed up with cats in the room because they're gonna, you know, put their fingers in it and that's a wrap, you know. So I slept on an air mattress and by like 1 a.m, that air mattress was gone. I was like, oh my God. I mean, that was a terrible night's sleep as well. So then I knew my things were coming on Thursday. So I decided that I'm going to a hotel. Like I'm sleeping in a hotel bed. I'm over this, right? So I rent a hotel on Thursday, and I go to the hotel to go to sleep. But I realized I have not had dinner yet. So I decided that I am going to, you know, go down to the hotel bar and gonna go have like a salad for dinner or something like that. Go down to the hotel bar and there's people sitting at the bar and I'm seeing like there's like an empty seat in between people, but I'm like, I want to have like a little bit more space because I don't know these people. They don't know me. Whatever. I'll go all the way around and there's like this black guy here and I skip 2 seats and then I sit down. As soon as I sat down, he says, your first one is on the bruz. I was like, I'm sorry. He said, the first one is on the bruz. I was like, the bruz? I was like, oh, are you a Q? Because he's in a Omega Sci-Fi. And he said, yeah. I said, oh, okay. Well, I said, well, I don't drink, but I'll take a Sprite. And he's like, okay. So I ordered me a Sprite and then we just start talking. And now listen, this is a black man. I haven't really talked to many black people because they weren't in San Diego. So I am like all in my feels in a good way about just talking to a black person. Now, listen, if you are not black, it's just important to know that I love everybody, but culturally, like I've always been around everyone. And as a culture of Black people, we just have a language. There's just a thing about Black culture. That's like, if you are Asian, there's Asian culture. If you are Hispanic, there's Hispanic. There's all different types of culture. Okay. So I haven't been able to like connect with somebody just instantly culturally that's Black because I haven't been around them. So just talking with him, we just instantly, it was like culture just, it was just there, and we were just talking. And we ended up talking for like 2 hours, like a long time, talking about everything under the sun, like everything under the sun. Like his phone kept ringing, and I was like, I know it's a girl. And I was like, dude, you might want to answer the phone. She's like, answer her call or whatever. And he was like, can't remember what he said. But he, basically what happened with him is he flew in from somewhere, and his bag got delayed. So he didn't have his bags, but his keys were in his bag. So he was like, I can't get into my house. I can't get my car. He stayed at the hotel. So we're just like chopping it up and whatever. He ends up buying my dinner, and I'm like, oh, wow. We're talking about something. He wants to connect me to people and all this. And I'm just like, here, what's your number? And I just get his number and text him my number or whatever. Now, for me, I was like, at first I was like, I thought he was hitting on me. But the way he was talking about the girl that he was messing with, like, he was not trying to pull up on me. He was just a nice guy who was just talking to people, right? And it's been a week. I haven't talked to him. Now I am going to text him because I'm like, this is someone that I like him as a human, like not as someone to date, but I just like him as a human. You know, I'm like, I want to reconnect with him in that way, not romantically. Like, I don't think he's interested in me romantically. And it was awesome. Right. But then the next day, I decide to go down in my apartment complex to go and look at all the amenities because I can't remember them. And I run into these two girls, very nice, and they could direct me to this room where a bunch of content creators are. I go to them. It's like 4 of them sitting down talking. I end up talking to them for 2 hours, and they like, it was just such a welcome home. It was such a Houston, Texas welcome home, welcome back to culture. I ended up booking a session with the girl to help her with her business. I met up with her. I ended up spending another 2 or 3 hours with another guy, amazing gentleman. We talked about relationships and what else? Mental health, all this stuff. Then one of the other guys there bought us all lunch. I mean, it was just been like this awesome experience, a welcome home. Then I went to this networking event and I met some amazing people there. One of the girls, they brought us to like a happy hour, connected with all of them. Come to find out, a bunch of them live right here where I live. We go out for sushi on Saturday night, and it's just been, I don't know, like I have not experienced all of this in years. This is how I am with people when they meet me, but like to come back into the culture of Houston and just be like, get it. It's just been like amazing. You know, now I have been just focused on like, I've been trying to focus on like getting my mental back. Cause I'm like, it's just with all the movement, I just was all over the place, you know, but now I'm like, I am getting ready to host probably some meetups here in Houston for content creators and business owners. I am going to go to some networking events. I've been doing a little bit of online dating or whatever, but not quite, because I'm like, I want to be in the best mental space to like go out on a date with a guy. You know, that's just me personally. I'm very intentional. But yeah, it's like, it's been a great 7 days. It basically has been 7 days since I've been here in Houston, and it has been amazing. Okay. It has been amazing. It's amazingly hot. I will say that. But as long as there's AC and there's a pool, everything is all good. Okay. So listen, if you want to follow along my Houston journey, like more intentionally, I would encourage you to come follow me on Instagram or TikTok at Kia Kelly. And I'm putting everything in my stories as I'm going out and doing all the different things. Like I'm gonna be doing a lot of stuff because I'm like, I just really like to be around people. Otherwise, working from home is very isolating, and I don't want to feel isolated. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of 20 hours of driving, Roaches, and the man at the bar. Okay, so thank you so much for listening and watching. Thanks for listening to the Key and Kelly podcast. I'm always honored and thankful each time you choose to download and listen to an episode of this podcast, but also when you choose to share it with a friend. Because one of the things that I know is that when I was building my business, it was so important for me to be surrounded by like-minded people. And so when you choose to share our content with your friends, it allows them to be in our space as well, where we can nurture and mentor them as well. And we can just make some new friends. So if you wouldn't mind sharing, I would appreciate it so very much. But in addition to that, if you would do us a huge favor by writing a review and giving us 5 stars, it's going to tell Spotify, iTunes, and all the places that people are enjoying this podcast and that they should share it with more people. And so please share, please write a review, and thank you so much for listening.